All right. Okay. Lighting's a little different, but hopefully it should work. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Telosev Talks random live Q&A. I think we need an official name for these live shows. I'm still torn on it. Like, part of me, because time is so constricted and because we haven't done like a regular talks podcast regularly, part of me is wondering if whenever I do these little Q&As, these live streams, I should basically just call them the Taylors of Talks podcast, and then I could take the audio from them and post them on podcasting platforms. Part of me thinks about doing that, but then it would just be like a solo podcast, which is kind of weird. It's like a whole podcast just for one guy talking to himself, and then like once or twice a year you have people come on. It just kind of weird. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good name for it or good branding for it. Hey, Connor O'Regan, welcome. Connor, you are on top of the notifications, by the way. Anytime I tweet something or post something, you are just like the first reply, first comment, everywhere. It's awful. No, just kidding. It's really great. I appreciate your diligence with the notifications and stuff, and I appreciate your engagement. You're awesome. So thank you very much. Yeah, I'm not really following what's going on in DC, other than I know it's quite a big mess right now. But I'm hoping that Telosev. This is the type of day where Telosev was meant to shine, because I want the network to be a great place for people to escape from real problems of the world, not a place to highlight problems of the world. Kind of how I really admired John Krasinski's show, Some Good News, just because I like the idea of having a news show that was built all around just covering good things that were happening. In a way, maybe not directly, but in a way, I kind of see tech news as that way. The kind of thing I like about covering technology and covering electric vehicles, or doing little vlogs on occasion, is like, in the tech world, it's all just a battle of who can make the better thing. And at the end of the day, the consumer always wins, because it's mainly just who can make the more compelling product, who can make the more affordable product with the better specs. So it's not like a win-lose situation between all the different companies. It's kind of just like, hey, whoever can make this work, whoever can make the more compelling product, whether it's a car, whether it's a phone, whether it's a watch, whether it's headphones, and it all just comes down to, some of you think this is better because it suits your needs, and some of you think this is better because it suits your needs. I kind of like that. It all kind of comes down to what's good for you. What do you prefer? And same with the vlogs. It's like, let's just try to, even if it doesn't end up taking up a whole lot of your day, even if it's not 10 minutes or 20 minutes of edited content. It's just something that I thought of that day that doesn't relate to tech or EVs, because sometimes we even get caught up in that. So yeah, having a great way for people to escape and focus on something else for a little while and just have some entertainment value. That's pretty much what I'm going for. Third Row Driver says, I like the new intros across the network. Thank you. I have to give a special shout out to Mr. Nick Ann Sweeney for making all those happen. He did a great job with Apple Motion, which I've never taken the time to learn that myself. It's basically like Apple's version of After Effects, but yeah, he did an awesome job. And I was really close to thinking it wouldn't happen at all, because for those who don't know, maybe you're new, Telosev for the past few years, I think even since 2015 or 2014, I've kind of made it a tradition to update the logos and the profile pictures and the cover arts. Like, I made it a tradition to update all that stuff at the beginning of every year. So you had the 2018 artwork, and you had the 2019 artwork, and then you had the 2020 artwork, and just changing it every year at like January 1st, updating everything. And honestly, it had kind of gotten behind me, and there wasn't really any direction I had planned to take the artwork and stuff. But then Nick approached me and just said, hey, here's something I'm messing with Apple Motion. And he showed me some artworks and some logos and stuff, and I was like, well, that would be really cool. We should do that for the new year. And this was like just a couple weeks before the beginning of the new year started. So yeah, it was cool to have him design those things, and now I get to link them in the description of every video. It's just like, hey, I know the guy who made this, and you can check him out here, which is dope. Let's see. Think that the COVID-19 vaccine is part of a plan together, information sending information back to one day? No, I don't. Personally, I don't. I don't buy into the it's part of a plan to gather info from everyone. They have all the info they need. Trust me. They don't need you to get a vaccine to take that info. Let's see. Neon logos and intros this year look great and unique and different. Good. Awesome. Xbox or PlayStation? I shouldn't speak because I sold my Xbox and I don't really have plans on replacing it anytime soon, except this video. Hey, Nick's in the chat. Welcome. Mary Jo Kaloyan, sorry if I mispronounced that. Kaloyan says, how's Louise doing? She is so sweet. She's doing good. We just finished our break right before this live stream started. This is one of the most fantastic things about having her work from home is that we can literally just, our lunches, and whenever she gets like a 10-minute break at work, we can just hang out and do whatever we want. At our lunch break, we actually watched an episode of Everybody Hates Chris, which is probably our favorite show right now because it's free on Peacock. And the ads on Peacock are pretty minimal. They're not that obnoxious, which is nice. So as bizarre of a streaming service name it is, it does have a free tier, and they do have quite a few good movies. We watched one. Oh, I said your last name right. Good. Okay. I love hearing that because I always butcher it. But we watched a movie last night. It was not very family friendly. So if you're under the age of 18, I'm not recommending it to you. But if you're an adult and you are more of a fan of R-rated comedies, we watched a movie called Knocked Up last night. It was pretty funny. It stars Seth Rogen. It's got actually kind of an all-star cast. It's got Seth Rogen, Paul Rudd, Jonah Hill, the voice actor from How to Train Your Dragon, the main character from How to Train Your Dragon. I forget his name. I forget the lead actress's name too. But anyway, I just thought the comedic timing and the script on that movie was good. I don't know if I would do a whole movie review video on it, but that was also on Peacock and it was easy to watch. But let's see. What is your budget now? Because you paid off the house, do you splurge a bit more now? You'd think that, right? Not really. Now we're just trying to see how much, kind of like originally how we were dumping a bunch of money into our mortgage to pay it off. Now we're dumping as much money as we can into investments and trying to invest all of our money so that in time it can, into retirement accounts and things. So it's not really money that we can pull out later. Well, it's money we can pull out way later, but not like pull out at any time. We're pretending our investments don't really exist. That way they can accumulate value and appreciate in value over time. That way, financial independence and passive income is a lot more achievable. But yeah, that's, I think we actually lowered our food budget for 2021. Yeah. In 2020, we were shooting for $250 a month. But in 2021, we're going to try for $200 a month in food. So that's $100 for each of us. And I must say, because Louise is such an amazing cook, it's not been that hard. In fact, she's gotten really, really good at cooking all kinds of different things. And frankly, I haven't missed going out very much. Obviously, there's a few times where you're just craving some kind of fast food. But other times, now Louise is getting really good at making like even unhealthy stuff. Of course, there's lots of healthy stuff she makes, but even the like, what am I thinking of? Egg fried rice was really good. I don't know how unhealthy that is, though. I'm not watching my diet probably as closely as I should. I'm just trying to work out more. Thinking of getting a rental property because that is a cool thing to do on YouTube right now. We have thought a lot about it. I think I have to agree that my wife is more interested in rental properties than I am. Mainly because my uncle does that. Like, my uncle owns, I think, 11 or 12 houses that he rents out. And he is always working on them. Like, it is constant. Like, you got to keep in touch with the tenants and you got to hear about problems with rental properties or hear about plumbing issues, housing issues. And typically when you want to go in on rental properties, you want to try to buy a smaller priced house that you can rent out pretty well. But when you go for a smaller price on the house, it typically has lots of issues and your tenants figure that out and then they contact you. So obviously then, yeah, you can get a property manager, but then that starts eating into your, what's it called? Your passive income per month. So we've thought about it, we've considered it, but at least right now it doesn't seem to be a great time to buy a house. If real estate prices were starting to drop more significantly, we would probably be thinking about it. But yeah, a property manager is going to eat into your passive income because they're going to take a fee. They're going to want to take a cut. And then it just, at the end of the day, for me, it comes down to, how how passive is this income really? If you have to buy the house, get pre-qualified, and go through the mortgage process all over again, do all the work, go through the escrow, get through the approval process, do all this stuff to buy the house. Then you got to interview tenants and find the tenants you like and try to do background checks on them and make sure that they don't have like a bumpy history and make sure they're not going to thrash the house and, what kind of pets do they have. Do all that, get them in, start charging them month to month. Now what happens if they stop paying their rent? Ooh, now it gets complicated and you can't just evict them right away. It's not that simple. Usually the eviction process, at least where I live, it takes 5 to 6 months to get someone evicted if they start squatting and they stop paying their rent. And because of the pandemic, there's a lot of rules about what you can and can't evict right now. So there's just a lot more steps. There's a lot more complexities to rental properties. I don't doubt the passive income streams of them, but it's just not something we're investing in right now because developing passive income from stocks is like a few buttons on my phone. Like I can open an app on my phone right now and buy several $1,000s worth of stocks and then be like, done. Okay, I'll get dividends 4 times a year, passive income, boom, and I don't even have to get out of my chair. Whereas buying a buying a house and renting it out, there's a lot more steps to that, and the returns are probably going to be a lot higher, as I've talked about that kind of stuff with my uncle. But yeah, I don't know. Time is not something we have a ton of right now. And also with the pandemic, having to meet up with people and interviewing tenants and going to the bank and stuff. It's not really something great when we're trying to quarantine and stay at home as much as possible. Rent out a room to a fan droid. There's an idea. We don't have a spare room, though. We're kind of tapped out here. We're using pretty much every room in the house to its full potential. We're taking showers in the bathroom, so we can't rent out that one. We're sleeping in the bedroom, and Louise is working out of the bedroom too. She has a desk set up in there and everything. And I'm working in here, obviously. And of course, we use the living room when we're done with work, and we use it for watching movies and TV and stuff. We're tapped out in the laundry room, of course. Even the garage has got our car in it and stuff. So I wish I had a spare room. Let's see. Do you speak French? No, not at all. I'm sorry. I think a friend of mine did. He took a French class in high school. But no, I never did. Sorry. Mary Jo says, my hubby and I are trying not to eat out this month. We will see how far that goes. It's tough. I gotta say, Mary, controlling the food budget is probably one of the most challenging things in my life because I can really get by with everything else. Like I can cut back on services, and if it's like, okay, we're not going to pay for Netflix anymore, I'm like, okay, there were some shows I may have liked on Netflix, but whatever, I got YouTube and there's endless amount of content on there for me to watch. Or if it's cutting out something like gas has been really easy now that Louise is working from home. So it's like, let's just lower the gas bill, or we don't even create that much garbage. So yeah, I know some people don't know about this, but in America, at least, if you're a homeowner, in a lot of cities, we have a garbage bill, as in it costs money to put that dumpster out by the street. When I brought that up in a vlog once, I saw all these people saying, you have a garbage bill? You have to pay for garbage? I guess if you rent, you don't have to deal with that because it's included in the monthly cost. And but yeah, we lowered our garbage bill to the lowest possible it could go because it was simple to just be like, give us a smaller bin. We don't create that much trash. And even with the smaller bin, we only fill it up every 2 or 3 weeks. So it's all that kind of stuff is easy to lower the cost of, but food you can't cut out completely. That's the tricky part. Whether it be Netflix or Hulu, those types of services, or iCloud, it might take some work, but you can really just cut them out completely. Food, you're always going to be spending something though, right? It'd be really, really tricky to find a way to get it to zero. Maybe if you started growing all your own stuff, but that would require a huge amount of upfront cost and a huge amount of patience that I don't have. Connor says we have to pay for general waste, but recycling is free. Oh yeah, that's the same thing here. We're paying for the cheapest possible garbage bin, but the recycling is included. They don't charge extra for that. Yeah. So we're similar there. JG says, do you have solar panels? We looked into it, actually. I was really tempted because you guys know I'm a big Tesla fan and I love everything Tesla does. And I wanted to have something made by Tesla. You know, that's not a Hot Wheel. Tesla didn't even make this. You know what I discovered recently? This little Hot Wheel toy, looking at the light on the top. It's a 7-seater. They have the 2 seats in the back. Which I didn't realize until recently. But anyway, I wanted to get Tesla Solar because there was all this hype going around and Tesla was advertising it on their website. Like, we have the cheapest solar panels in America that you can buy, and we have a price match guarantee. So if someone else says they can offer the same solar package for cheaper, we will match that price. But did a bunch of research, did a bunch of reviews, read a bunch of reviews, and a lot of people had very negative things to say about Tesla Solar, which bummed me out. I don't want that to be the case. You know, I want Tesla to just be this unstoppable, great company with no issues whatsoever. But truth is, every review I've seen, like 95% of the reviews I've read about Tesla Solar have said that they don't communicate very well. And if they come to your house and decide that your house isn't suitable for their panels, they don't give you your deposit back. And they would put the panels on people's houses and not activate them for like 6-7 months. So they'd literally be sitting on people's houses for months and months at a time and not utilizing that energy at all, which is a big bummer. So that bummed me out. And then I looked at alternatives to Tesla Solar, which unsurprisingly costed more. And the real challenge is our electric bill is just so little that it's really hard to justify the cost savings because we use so little energy, probably because our house is so tiny and we don't use that much power. I mean, right now we're using the heater quite a bit. So our next bill might be a bit higher, but yeah, like even on Tesla's website, if you list that your monthly power bill is under $80 a month, then they don't even recommend you a solar panel size. Like on Tesla's website, they're like, tell us how much your electric bill is and we'll tell you how much you can save. And we put in our average and it was like $50 a month. And they were like, no, put in a number above 80. So yeah, and that's the cheapest solar panels you can get. Like everybody that's not Tesla is going to cost more than that. So the number of years it would take to break even is just hard to justify. So we don't have solar, but we did heavily consider it. We looked into it. I did the research and decided that unless maybe the grid becomes increasingly more unreliable, you know, like there has been times where we lost power in the past year, but it was probably only 2, maximum 3 times, and it was always late at night. It wasn't like while we were working. I haven't reached that point yet, but I would be very frustrated if we reached a point where the power was out and I couldn't do my job. Then I could make the argument that, okay, maybe I should get some solar and some power walls, and that should allow us to have a backup in case power goes out, because I'm losing money if the grid becomes unreliable and I don't have electricity and I can't do my job. Like, then I can argue, all right, then now it's worth the investment. But that hasn't happened enough times yet. It's the grid has been stable enough that I can't really justify needing to have off the grid energy storage. But yeah, I made that tweet yesterday. People flipped out about it because I said that our Wi-Fi bill is twice that of our power bill. But people were mad that I said Wi-Fi bill because it's technically internet bill, not Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is just the connectivity option. And people getting all nitpicky. But yeah, my internet bill, because me and Louise use a ton of internet. She works, of course, online, and I do live streaming all the time, and I'm uploading videos, and I'm watching live streams, and we're watching internet constantly. So yeah, that results in quite a bit of data usage, and most of the time we could get by with the cheaper. It's through Xfinity. It's like $100 a month. But we have to pay the extra $30 to get unlimited because they put a 1 terabyte cap on that $100 a month. So I opted for the unlimited and fastest speed option they have in this area. There's no competition. There's no alternative. There's no cheaper internet that's just as fast. There's no more expensive internet that's faster even. So this is all we got. They got a monopoly on us, which sucks. But basically, it ends up costing us $140 a month, and our average electric bill fluctuates between $50 and $70, somewhere in there. So yeah, it's just an interesting value point of view. That's why I thought it would make a good tweet. But the rest, all the responses just turned it into it just turned into everybody saying it's internet bill, Drew. Wi-Fi bill's not a thing. I was like, okay, never mind. But what my hope was, the takeaway from the tweet, was people would see that as, wow, that's interesting that we're putting twice the value on internet that we're putting on power, right? To give you a perspective on like money as in worth, as in value, as in what we're putting value towards, we're valuing internet twice as much as we're valuing electricity, which is kind of interesting to me. I don't know. It's like that puts such a highlight. The internet is such a pivotal, such a crucial utility now that we're willing to pay that much for it, just so we can make sure that I can do my uploads and live streams and all that stuff. Could you do a speed test of Mint Mobile right now? Sure. I'll turn off Wi-Fi, obviously, to do the speed test. Why not? And speed test. Okay. What is Scott? Hey, Scott Sullivan, how are you? He said, people who own Tesla stock right now, like me, are thriving. Let's hope it continues to go up in 2021. Yeah, I'm happy for you, Scott. I think it's going to keep going up. I think it'll most likely hit $1 trillion in market cap this year. But, okay. So I never use Mint Mobile from my desk because I always have Wi-Fi. But here we go. I'm going to press go. Sorry, the display brightness is a little down. Oh, when I went to Control Center, it swung way down. Now it's really slow for some reason. That's weird. It's like never this slow. Normally, when I go in the living room, it's normally in like the 30s and 40s. Weird. Oh, do I have... I'm curious if the 5G thing is turned on. I should check that. It has made a difference for me. Data mode is on standard. It's on 5G auto. What if I switch it to LTE? Will that make a difference? I'm not sure why it was on that. Well, the thing is, just getting my speed test right now is not a good indicator because it varies a lot. I mean, like, if I'm in the living room, it's faster than I'm in here. And I'm not going to be able to tell you if coverage is great in your area or not. I guess you just have to try it. And if it sucks, then return it. But that's why Mint Mobile always has little promotions going on where it shouldn't cost you very much to try out their service. Okay, let's see if this makes a difference. Whoa! It shot up for a second and then swung way down, which is funny. Well, I guess I'm doing a lot. I guess it shouldn't matter, huh, on the Wi-Fi. Yeah, I never really tested it in here. 5G is not even a option where I am, but I think the speeds are a little faster. I'm definitely getting faster upload when I turned off the 5G auto thing. I'm thinking of switching to Mint from Cricket. I've never tried Cricket. Yeah, there's a lot of different prepaid carriers, but I would highly recommend any of them, really. There's been another one a lot of people recommended outside of Mint was, what was it called? It's like it's a smaller service that utilizes Verizon's network. It's not quite as cheap as Mint, but it does have unlimited plans. I'm forgetting what it's called, but I heard people say good things about it. Obviously, I'm not going to just try out and experiment every carrier that people recommend, but a lot of people brought it up in the comments of the Mint Mobile video. I remember your internet speed when you were still in the attic. Oh yeah, it was bad. It was very bad. But thankfully, Visible, that's what it is. Thank you. Yeah, Visible. If Mint Mobile has bad coverage where you are, I would highly recommend Visible. Not from any personal experience, just from a lot of people telling me it works well for them. And they have reasonably affordable data plans, and they piggyback off of the Verizon cellular network, which has better coverage for certain people. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of people happy with it, but that's just one. I don't think it's like everyone should switch to Mint because Mint works well for me. Obviously, you got to find out what works best for your area and your demographic, and whoever, if I lived in a place where Mint Mobile had terrible reception, I wouldn't recommend it. I would try it at something else. But at least for me, it's working great. So that's why I'm recommending it. Let's see. You can get unlimited internet and TV for 50 euros a month here, which is probably why I think it's so expensive. Unlimited internet and TV. Yeah, I guess it is different when you're stretching coax cable across a much larger area. Getting internet access to people in America is a lot more complicated than getting internet access to people in South Korea, United Kingdom, because they're smaller and closer together, so you don't have to run cables as far, so there's less overhead costs. But still, we need better competition. Alan Mustada says, is AT&T better than Verizon? I'm not living in the U.S. It probably depends where you are. I don't think it's an objective, like one is better than the other. Personally, I can't stand both. I was on Verizon for the longest time, and it was expensive, and the way their website worked and the way switching SIMs worked and the way managing your account worked was all really complicated and really frustrating. And that just drove me nuts. I couldn't stand that. Mint Mobile's just the way their app works and the way they manage accounts and just the whole managing your phone bill is way, way easier with Mint compared to Verizon. I never used AT&T, but back in the attic days, we did temporarily have AT&T Wi-Fi, which doesn't go from a tower, but it comes through the line. I think it was called Uverse. That was like their Wi-Fi option, and it was just the worst. That was like the infamously bad Wi-Fi plan, because it was like 1 megabit per second down and like a tenth of a megabit up. It was literally like measured in the kilobits per second of upload. So if I wanted to post videos from my Wi-Fi at home, I had to like leave the upload running on my computer and then go to sleep that night. I remember doing that all the time for like Saturday shorts back then and comedy skits. Of course, back then they weren't like 4K at 60. All the videos in those days were like 720, 30 FPS or 1080, 30 FPS. So yeah, back then the file sizes were a lot smaller, but it would still usually take me like 8 to 10 hours to upload every video. No joke. I'm not exaggerating there. Like, I would finish the video one night and I would select it to upload, and it would take 8 to 10 hours. And I would just have to leave the computer on overnight, and I would wake up the next morning and it would be like 99%, 100% processing. That was all part of the process. So yeah, it was quite a nightmare, and it was unreliable, because that was the frustrating thing with AT&T and Uverse, is the internet would like shut off. Like, it would just stop every once in a while, and we'd have to reset the router. Now, thankfully, we don't have Uverse. We have Comcast, which has fairly fast internet, but not great customer support, and it's expensive. So there's no alternative, though. How would you justify unlimited cellular plan? Well, I used to have unlimited cellular back with Verizon because our Wi-Fi was so bad that eventually it made more sense. So like I just told you, Uverse was so bad, the Wi-Fi was so unreliable and super slow that it was barely justifiable. And they were charging us like $100 a month. It was terrible, super expensive, and not very good. So eventually all our phones were on Verizon, and Verizon announced that they were going to bring back the unlimited data plan. And it was only going to cost me and my family an extra something like $40 a month on top of what we were already paying. Man, it must have been really bad, because we were paying like several $100s a month and we didn't even have unlimited data. I think we were getting like 8 gigs a month or something. So yeah, I don't get that at all. But anyway, once they announced that there would be an unlimited option, I was like, Mom, we should just cancel our Wi-Fi and do everything off our phones, because you could save yourself $100 a month. And we would have faster internet, because the LTE we got from Verizon back in those days was pretty fast. It wasn't anything fancy. I think it was like 100 down and 20 up or something like that. So I was like, okay, we could get something out of Verizon, but that was basically when we started doing that. That was when my iPhone 7 became my hotspot. Like, it became my router. Like, my iMac, my iPad, everything was being powered off of the modems of my iPhone. It was hot all the time. It was constantly plugged in. So the battery on that thing was like completely fried, although my friend Ross in the Air Force is still using that phone. He bought it off me for a pretty low price several years ago, and I think he replaced the battery on it himself. But yeah, that iPhone 7 I unboxed on the Tech Channel, it's still being used to this day. He modified it and took it apart and stuff, but he's still using it. But yeah, that was just my modem for a while until I moved out. And thankfully I moved out in time, because Verizon eventually changed their policy and decided that if you were on Hotspot, you couldn't have unlimited data. Back when we first signed up, it was still technically completely unlimited. Now it's not completely unlimited anymore. But back then there was going to be like a data cap at 30 gigs or something. Scott says, do you own any stock? I remember you mentioning something back in March or April. Yeah, we're investing a lot in stocks right now, actually. I would probably say 80 to 90% of the money we make just goes into stocks. But yeah, not anything too exciting. I mean, it's mostly index funds. It's mostly like high dividend yield rate stocks that are stable, not too crazy, but they consistently go up, and they've been going up pretty great for us so far. So we're happy with them, and a couple individual stocks here and there, but I won't get into it. Anyway, yes, to answer your question. Zach to the future. Hey, I remember you. I don't know if you saw the response to my comment, but Zach to the future stands out to me because he was like one of the first people I know of to like ask to interview me way back when. I think it was like when I first moved out of the attic. Someone was like, "Hey, can I interview you?" So Zach, I don't know if you were the actual first, but there may have been someone earlier, but I just remember you being the person to ask me to collab or something. Anyway, now that Apple's basically a fully fledged production studio, do you think there will be an Apple TV project in theaters at any point? That is, assuming you even think movie theaters will exist after 19. Yeah, good question, Zach. I don't know. I think no, I'm sorry. I know that would be cool. I agree. It would be cool to have like a theatrical debut from Apple, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that all the money and time Apple puts into their originals is just going to try to encourage people and entice people to subscribe to TV Plus, and that's it. And yeah, to answer the second part of your question, I do think that movie theaters were kind of on the decline anyway before the pandemic. There were some movies that created great box office hits, but they were not consistent. There would always be like 2 or 3 huge blockbusters a year, but then the rest of the year where there wasn't those Marvel or Star Wars movies coming out, the box office sales were on the decrease and getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the pandemic obviously did not help that. Now, with more and more movies coming out directly to streaming and theaters at the same time, and of course people thinking twice before they go to the movie theater, and theaters having to operate at limited capacity, not being able to fill up all the way. My childhood movie theater, like the movie theater I watched all my movies at in my hometown, it wasn't part of a chain or anything, but the movie theater that, you know, I watched all the Star Wars movies in and all the Marvel movies in, like the one closest to my childhood home, the attic, that shut down because of the pandemic. And from what I've read, they don't have plans on reopening. So that, like, smaller movie theaters like that, they didn't stand a chance. You know, they were barely making a profit before the pandemic, and this just completely killed them off. So it's sad. I know that, because there's definitely something to be said about the movie theater experience and going out to a movie. But sadly, looking at the cases and how, in the United States at least, how the country's handling the pandemic, I don't think it's going to go away tomorrow. I don't think we're at the tail end of it. I think that it's going to continue to be an issue. And yeah, that's 2019 though, Scott. Talk about 2020 and 2021. I can think of at least one movie theater that went somewhere. But I see that, especially now that there's going to be significantly more movies coming out directly on streaming and not theatrical releases, studios are not going to want to debut stuff in theaters as often if they know that they're going to take a huge box office crash like that. That's why, you know, a lot of superhero movies are coming out on streaming now, and Disney is going all in on Disney Plus, not really talking too much about theatrical releases. Yeah, I think they're going somewhere. Respectfully disagree. 2019, I wouldn't bet my future of the movie theater on. I would say 2020 is a better evidence of where it's headed. Let's see. Have you watched Soul? I did. I watched Soul on Christmas Day, and maybe it's just that I'm getting older, but I wasn't a super big fan of it. The production of it is amazing. Like, the animation quality is fantastic. Like, the way it cinematically looks, and the quality of animation is wonderful, and the photorealism is amazing. But as a plot stands, I don't know. I feel like Pixar, it wasn't a bad movie. I'm not trying to saying it was bad, but I watched it. Like, I'm not a diligent movie critic. I occasionally review movies, but I was with a family Christmas Day, a small group of people. It was like 4 or 5 other people, and they all didn't really care for it either. We talked about it after the movie and had Christmas dinner and everything. We quarantined like weeks before so that we could actually meet up on Christmas. But we watched it, and I was talking to my sister about it and her husband, and I was talking to my wife about it, and they were all just like, it's getting too, Pixar is trying to get a little too abstract, I think. Like, it's okay to go abstract, but you have to have kind of rules and barriers in the universe that you follow. And I don't know, Soul felt like it wasn't really following its own rules. It was getting too hypothetical, and I don't know. I saw a lot of people loved it, so I'm happy if you enjoyed it. I'm not trying to talk anyone out of liking it, but I don't know. Inside Out was kind of bumping on that issue with me. Like, Inside Out was kind of turning less of it's turning away from being less of a movie and more of like a psychological discussion of like what happens in your mind and what's going on, and how people think and how children think and that kind of thing. And then with Soul, it was like taking a different approach to what happens after you die, which Coco was already kind of going forward. It was like, okay, this is how this culture interprets death, and now Soul is kind of just like Pete Docter's interpretation of death and how that's handled. But the whole, I think I just got a little sick of hearing Tina Fey talk out of the main character's body. Like, I don't know. I think that would have been funny for a few seconds, but the fact that they kept doing that bit of like the girl talking out of the guy's mouth for the whole movie, it just started to get old for me. And I didn't laugh very much compared to most Pixar movies, but I don't know. Just I would summarize my thoughts on it just by saying it's just a little too abstract. Follow the movie's rules a bit, because at one point he's dying and running off away from the great unknown or whatever. But I'm still asking myself, like, wait, so no one else has ever died unexpectedly and been like, oh, I'm going to run away from the great unknown. Like, everyone else moving towards it is just fine accepting the great abyss. But this guy's like the first human being to ever consider running the opposite direction. I don't know. It's just little clunky stuff like that. Or another thing for me was like, he wants to go back to I forget. I watched the movie once, like several weeks ago, so I apologize if I don't remember it very well. But kind of like the ambiguous, it's like the vague land where there's like stick figure characters that are trying to be like interdimensional beings. Like, he gets to go back to that land just by sitting at his apartment and playing the piano. He like gets back into that mood again and then can transport his soul wherever he wants to in the afterlife. I'm like, wait, so you can do that at any time? Just if you get really into a song? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's Pixar. I have a soft spot for them, and I love Pixar, but there's certain things they do, I just get a little, I don't know. Sometimes they get a little too deep or too abstract with their ideas and that kind of thing. But anyway, Rockford Media, thank you for the $25 super chat. Very, very generous. Not doing the best, but hi. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hope you can do better soon. Scott says, as a huge cinephile, I really hope not. I like watching even smaller movies in the theaters. I know that, Scott, and I'm well aware that you're a big cinephile, but I'm just telling you what I think most people are going to do. And I think that because of the pandemic and because of how movie studios are restructuring their business, it's going to create a new normal 2020 when it comes to box office and stuff. I don't think that was an exception. I think that's going to be the new norm moving forward, where, you have Tenet, Chris Nolan's movie, that's not even able to bring home a giant box office. And when that happened, it kind of scared away all the other studios from doing big box office releases. And now they're just prioritizing their streaming services. I'm not saying that's better. I'm just saying I think that's what's going to happen. Tim Sutton says, what are your thoughts on the meaning of life? What is everyone's true goal if they're feeling like their I said their knife needs a purpose. Okay, Tim Sutton asking the personal questions. What's the meaning of life? It's a great question. Another great question, what's the meaning of death? Something that blew my mind recently that some meme made was, I do not fear death because I will not exist to experience it. Does that ever blow your mind for a second? You don't need to be afraid of death because you will cease to exist when death comes. Therefore, you will never experience death. You can only experience life. I would say meaning of life is to bring joy and love unto others and leave the planet in a better state than you found it. It's probably wrong. There's probably a million different ways to answer the meaning of life. 42, right? Yeah, that's the obvious answer. But yeah, that's a deep question. I would say yeah, trying to bring joy and goodness as a whole to others in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't have to be a profession. I think that's something a lot of people get mixed up with. You don't have to, your purpose in life doesn't have to be your profession, okay? So if you have a job working in software engineering, or if you found a job where it pays pretty good and this is what gets you by and this is what pays the bills, but you basically have to just be a custodian and clean floors for a living, or you have to work at a restaurant and, just flip burgers or something. If you don't feel like there's a lot of meaning or a lot of purpose in it, keep in mind that what you bring to your family or friends or a significant other, that can be your purpose. If some friend in your life is really impacted positively by you, your life is not meaningless. And I think that deep down there's enough good in everybody to be worth sticking around for. I don't think anybody's life is truly pointless, even if they feel like their profession isn't very useful. Being able to sustain themselves and keep themselves happy and bring that happiness to others if at all possible. And, keep in mind that we're a big planet with billions of people, and there's a lot of moving parts, and every part plays somewhat of a role in making our life sustainable, whether it be entertaining people, whether it be something super meaningful like developing something that can heal, or developing medicine that can prolong people's lives and that kind of thing. That might feel more objectively like this is useful, this person's saving lives. But even people who aren't doing that, I think bring positive, joyous things to the world by how they impact their friends and family, and being an active member in that and telling the people in your life that you love them and care about them brings them up and just helps us as a community stay together. I don't know. It's tough. What does it all mean, right? What's the point of all this? Like, why do we do all this at the end of the day? Like, if we're all just going to become space dust? Well, there seems to be some type of positive chemical reaction ingrained in our brains when we're positive towards each other. So might as well keep pushing that forward. I don't know. Hopefully that answers your question. Alonzo Toji says, hey, Drew, what is your opinion on private schools? I really got nothing against them. I did not I did not attend any private schools growing up, but I can't say I had a great time with public education. I'll fully admit that. I don't even know if, the school approach is really the best way to raise the next generation. But yeah, if there's a private school that has curriculum that is adequate and can move students along and maybe have better teachers or better, more applicable curriculum, if there's advantages there and parents are willing to pay for it, or I'm for that. I don't know if I would put my kid in private school. Not sure. It's kind of an interesting debate there because on one hand, you want the best for your kids and you want them to have the best education possible and you don't want them to be in a damaging environment. But at the same time, me and my wife both were raised in public schools and we're pretty happy with how we turned up. And I also don't want to like cradle my kid, my non-existent child. I don't even know if we'll have kids. But if we do, I don't want to cradle them to the point that they're so used to a private education and they're so used to a private and secluded upbringing that's all safe and protected that when they come out to the real world, they're scared of everything because they're not used to being in a public place or interacting with all their people that may not be like them. Or, if you raise your kid in a private institution and they're surrounded by other kids that, probably have parents that can afford that, you kind of get a closed off, less diverse community that your kid gets accustomed to, right? So you don't want them to get thrown into an environment that they're really scared or terrified of because they were used to a different one all their life. So that's tough. Yeah, I don't know. It's I can't exactly say one is better than the other because I feel like maybe a lot of the teaching and a lot of the curriculum would be better at a private school, but you might be able to handle the real world better, which is not always safe and protected and secure or fair. So a public education experience might teach your kid how to handle the real world and how to handle people they're not comfortable with and how to handle, because I was brought up in public education and I am happy with the way I turned out and my wife feels the same way. But you also don't want a crappy education. You don't want to deal with bad teachers or bad students and that kind of thing. So it's tough. I can't decide. I don't know which is better. I'm not against them. Let's put it that way. Hopefully that mini speech gives you an idea of my thoughts on it. Yep, Steve Jobs did found Pixar. I knew that. Zach says, great answer, Drew. I'm doing good. Took a break from YouTube when I had my daughter. Wow, I'm sure you won't have to do that anytime soon until the season finale of I Love Louise. Yes, that'll be quite the season finale. For the end of the show, we're just going to have a baby. No. Yeah, we're hoping that's many, many years away. Not to say I would be freaked out if, we had an unexpected pregnancy. We would make it work. We would get by. But that's not the current plan at the moment. Legendary says, I have always been a good person towards others, always helped others, but have been over many times. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Still trying to be a good person. That is my meaning of life. I think that's a good one. I feel like that's a positive outlook on life because it's not like, I don't know, less hate, more love. Can we do that at least? I feel like if we told everyone on earth to focus on trying to be more caring and loving and spreading joys to others, then we would most likely result in a better planet, right? Even if we disagree. I'm not saying everyone has to agree on everything because I'm sure we have different religious viewpoints and political viewpoints and how society should handle money and taxes and welfare and, all that stuff is very complicated. But if we can approach it all from the standpoint of let's work together to try to find the best solution, let's not disagree in a negative way. Let's disagree in a productive way as far as like, if we disagree on something, let's figure out why we disagree and find out what values we differ on instead of approaching it with, violence or anger or you're stupid because you don't agree with me, is that kind of thing. So it's tricky. You made some great points in your Talks podcast, Space Time, about professions. If you do your job because of the money, you will only do it because of the money. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it's a tough one. It's not everyone can be as fortunate as YouTubers in general that are able to do something they love this much for a living. And there's a lot of YouTubers that probably don't enjoy what they do and they get sick of YouTube and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's important to keep that in mind. I think there's a lot of people that pursue professions thinking that job will be all about a product they're in love with, and they don't focus enough on the process. Try to focus more on that. What am I hearing? Oh, it's storming. When did it start raining? I just heard all this loud pitter patter on the roof, and I was like, "What's that noise?" Didn't realize it was raining so hard. Anyway, thank you for the super chats, Ryan McKenna and Rockford Media. So let's see what Ryan said. Will the 13 Pro just be 120 hertz with new finishes, improved cameras, probably slash telephoto and lidar? I hope the notch is reduced. Ryan, hate to break it to you, I don't think the notch is going to be reduced. And yeah, 120 hertz, most likely new finishes. Yep. They already have lidar, so I'm not sure why you brought that up. Other than just improved lidar, sure, and improved telephoto. Yeah, probably not that eventful. Small streams like this are fun. I agree very much. Casey Mamoru says, I love your new series on Telosev TV. Thank you. I'm glad you guys like them. Rockford Media Super Chat says, what's happening with Raise Your Own Dang Kids? I have no updates for you at this time. I'll make sure to tweet them out when that time does come. But yeah, my dad is still working on the book. I think he wanted to add a few chapters after the podcast we had. But if he does get to publish it or post it, I will make sure to tweet it out, and y'all will be able to pick it up and buy it if it's possible. Right now, it's not possible, but yeah, that was a fun time talking with him. Tim Sutton says, thank you for your amazing answer about the meaning of life, Drew. Honestly, you've got such a gift with the ability to talk about literally anything and captivate an audience. Much love. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. I'm trying to be more. I'm trying to make more time for these types of streams in 2021. It's funny because I scroll back in my old Telosev channels and I always notice there's a huge bulk of videos coming out in January and February and March, and then it's like nothing by the end of the year. So I know that like people meme on New Year's resolutions and people hate on them because they're like, oh, you always forget about it. But I don't know. I still think it's worth trying. I still think as campy or as cheesy as resolutions may be, it's still worth trying to instill new habits and productive values. And throughout all of 2020, my goal was to create like 3 pieces of content a day. So what that means is like a tech vid, an EV vid, and then one other thing. It could either be a vlog or it could be a Twitch stream. And in 2020, I kind of fell into the habit of always making it a Twitch stream, and then I was only doing one vlog a week, and then it started falling into one vlog every 2 weeks and then every month. And I didn't like that because, spoiler alert for the 30 of you watching or whatever, but the Talks channel I think is one of my favorites. It just feels like it has a very engaged and very supportive audience, and very positive thinking. And I feel like with the Talks channel, it's like free play because I can really talk about or make a vlog about whatever I want, and people watch it and comment on it, which is funny to me because it's the Talks channel, I guess, is more about my personal life, whereas Tech and EV is just me hosting a show about other companies or about other products. And that's fun, and I love doing it. It's not that I don't enjoy it, but at the same time, being able to just talk about whatever and spit in the breeze like we're doing on today's stream, that's also really, really fun. And talk about finance or talk about the meaning of life. I love talking about that, by the way. It's not like a tough question I hate thinking about. We're talking about death, the concept of death, or talking about what happens when we die. All that kind of deep stuff makes most sense to have on this Talks channel. So, yeah, I want to get playing more tennis as soon as the weather improves. But yeah, I want to play more tennis. But yeah, I really love the Talks channel, and I felt like in 2020 it got too neglected, more neglected than I'm happy with. So throughout all of last year, I was trying to do 3 pieces of content a day. And in 2021, my goal is to do 4. So it's a little crazy. It's a little overbearing probably. And it's probably overkill for many people. But in 2021, I'm trying to do tech, EV, vlog, Twitch stream, or talk stream like we're doing right now. I don't need to make... I thought about it, and I don't think I'm okay or up for doing daily tech Twitch streams. I just think the tech genre doesn't really have enough anyway. Whereas the talk streams, I feel like we can talk about anything. Like if tech questions like about Mint Mobile or Verizon come up, I don't mind talking about tech on a talk stream. But knowing that it's on the Talks channel means that I can branch out into different subjects and different fields and that kind of thing, which on the tech Twitch. I could, but it doesn't really fit the brand very well because it's Telosev Tech, so it should really be mostly about tech and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I enjoy talks and I want to make more time for it. Maybe doing these streams every other day, trying to upload vlogs, maybe more like 3 to 4 times a week, that kind of thing. So hopefully I can make that happen. Hopefully it's not just a January phase with New Year's resolution and that kind of thing. But yeah, Telosev Existential Crises. That's us, Death Dude 27. We need you to make a New Year's resolution to daily upload to Telosev Food. It's funny. I do want to. It's a joke channel and it's a meme and stuff, but I do genuinely want to post more there. It's just I want to post more everywhere. That's the problem. So I gotta pick my battles. My dream is like if every channel was super active, that would be awesome. But Rough Riders Snow super chatted just now, said, "You watching SN9 static fire test today? Thoughts on SN8 flight?" Right as he sent that, during this entire live stream, I've had this open on my iPad, by the way. So if you notice my eyes darting over here a bit more often, it's not because I'm distracted of the Discord. It's because I'm distracted of the Lab Padre static fire stream. So we should be getting a static fire from SN9 in the next hour or so. The siren hasn't gone yet, but SN9 is venting. So yeah, this has been on my this has been on my iPad all day. I can't wait to watch it take off. But yeah, SN9's venting. Let's see. 2020 made me really think about death in a way I never have before. I became agnostic, which I kind of already was the older I got. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are. A lot of people aren't. I'm not really happy with any one. Yeah, well, let's not go there. I don't want to get into a religious debate, but I appreciate the super chat. And yeah, 2020, I think, impacted everybody in different ways. Rhea Doth Ula Akib. Sorry if I mispronounced that. He asks, important question. Have you tried Mr. Beast Burger? Give us a review. I have not, because I have not eaten out in a long, long time. Louise and I are trying to stay in quarantine as much as possible, so we haven't been able to eat out very much. But yeah, I want to try it. It looks good. I saw photos of it. I've seen videos of it. It's funny you brought up Mr. Beast because I'm actually planning on doing a little sit-down video about him on this channel. Not a bad thing, not like a criticism thing. I'm just like, I admire his business model. Maybe admire is not the right word. But I let's just say he's a really impressive content creator, and I'm shocked with how large his channel is and how amazing his content is and how he's able to keep topping it and how much money he gives away. But I also do not envy running that channel. It sounds horrible, personally. But anyway, I'll save that for the vlog. Otherwise, I'll just repeat it after the stream. iApple World says, is it possible for you to make like a 10-second video about how to improve my TikTok channel? Given I don't have one, I probably shouldn't be giving out advice on TikTok. So yeah, I probably check with some other tech content creators on TikTok because I don't use it, so I wouldn't trust me. I wouldn't trust my advice. Honestly, I think Telosev's pretty overrated in many senses, and I think that for me to give out advice is kind of silly because the only reason Telosev is successful is because I made the right videos on the right subjects at the right time. And I don't know really if I wasn't a content creator now and I had to start over from zero and nobody ever heard of Telosev before, and I just now started my first YouTube channel and I started making videos, I don't know if it would have worked. I don't know if it would have grown to the size it is now. Like, I think it's very possible that growing your channel and becoming a full-time creator depends on the market and what you're catering towards, and if it is big enough and if it can scale enough or grow enough. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I think it's kind of safe to say it's like a bit of a fluke, like part of the success of the channel was mainly just because Apple was removing the headphone jack or working on the iPhone 10 at that time. And if we flash forward to now, maybe it wouldn't have gotten that much attention in the first place. So yeah, that's a tough one. I think that it'd be very different if we started today. Rockford Media Super Chat, it says your Jake and Logan Paul rants are funny. That's good. I'm glad you get a kick out of those. Yeah, not my favorite. Death Dude 27 said, made the right videos at the right time. Isn't that literally every single relatively popular channel, though? Right, but yeah, I mean, it is really tough because, like, the algorithm is different all the time, right? Like, that's another great question is, like, if MKBHD were to start his channel over again now, if Marquez was born later on, you know, imagine if he was 12 years old now and started making tech videos, would he have risen to the top eventually? Maybe. I mean, he's talented, but I don't know. Maybe not at the same time. Maybe it's such a different climate, or maybe it's too saturated now. It kind of depends on who gets up and who gets big at the right time. And if you don't get into that market at the right time, then there's no chance because everybody else is just bigger than you. Yeah. It's a tough one. Let's see. How's marriage, G? Loving it. Neamsterdam. Are you going to review the Telosev network again? Neamsterdam? It's my favorite videos of yours. Hopefully we can get some updated ones. But marriage is great. I confidently can say I lucked out and met an amazing girl, and I hope she can continue to be happy. She says she's happy now. So there could have never been a better person to quarantine with. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I see a crap ton of. Ooh, sorry. The engine is chilling. They're zooming in on the Lab Padre stream. So now we're just waiting for the siren, and then it's a static fire. Anyway. I see a crap ton of channels blowing up as they are brand new. It's honestly the algorithm deciding how to get big. That's the thing, though, is like when it all comes down to advice for how you should grow X or how should I improve X, is like my knowledge and my experience comes from a completely different time frame that probably doesn't even apply anymore. So my best advice I can give to you is, you know, don't waste too much time talking up your brand. You know, I think that's something a lot of people can fall into is, like, my dad taught me this at a very young age when it came to doing class projects or class presentations when you're speaking to a big group of people, is like, don't spend a lot of time talking about what you're going to do. Spend time actually doing things that you want to do. Don't make it all about like, hello, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I think people get caught up in that spiral sometimes when they're just focused on, I am going to do this, or they get caught up in the marketing of it. Like, I'm going to tweet out a rumor, I'm going to tweet out a trailer. I want to make a trailer for this. That was kind of what I wanted to do differently with Telosev TV. Give you guys a little background on the upbringing of that. I did the little tech video about being split between the 12 mini and the 12 Pro Max, where I talk to myself, and we have Max Drew and we have Mini Drew, and we argue and bicker back and forth. And I was more proud of that tech video than normal. You know, most tech videos, I'm like, okay, I throw a joke in here and there. It's about tech stuff. But after that one, I got so many nice comments, and so many of you guys were just like, oh, that was great. This is my favorite video. I was like, man, maybe I when I was making it, I was worried it was going to be too cringy. I was like, this is going to be too awkward, and people are just going to dislike and unsubscribe. But I eventually just told myself, you know what? There's too many people subscribed to the tech channel anyway. It's, you know, the view count never hits the sub count. So there's a lot of inactive subscriptions here. This might be a good video to just kind of purge all of those inactive subscribers. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to upload it anyway. And I got such positive feedback on it that I was like, maybe I should show this to Louise. So I showed it to her because I said a lot of people seem to find it funny. And she was like, this is great. Like, I love when you do these little skit things, and I want you to be able to make more comedy skits like this. And I said, well, yeah. I wanted to do more of the Telosev show with Wyatt, but the pandemic made that hard, and we're trying to keep our distance best we can and, be safe about it. And that makes the comedy channel TV, it makes that really hard. Well, she said, well, you got me, and we could maybe work on some stuff after work. So why don't we work on a show that just you and I can be in? That way we don't have to worry about the pandemic or quarantining. So we could come up with some scripts about our marriage life and work in some true stories even. So we started not storyboarding, but scribbling down some notes of just like, oh, here's a joke we could implement, or here's a skit, here's something that actually happened that we're going to incorporate into the series. And we started writing this list, and it just kept growing and growing. And eventually I was like, okay, I think this might be able to work. We should make something. And normally what I was trying to do at the Telosev show that didn't really work out because of COVID, I was trying to make like a season's worth of episodes before I even posted a single one. So I wanted to do like 10 episodes and then start posting, but pandemic happened and I was just going to post whatever I had at the time. And I got too caught up in the marketing of it because I was like, I should hold off on when I post these because I want to do like a teaser tweet and I want to do a trailer and I want to hype it up a little bit. And that, I think, just distracted from making what, like, we're not making the next Marvel show here, okay? We're not making The Mandalorian season 3 or anything like that. You got to keep in mind, like, okay, a few hundred people might watch this, but mainly they're just trying to watch you because they think you're funny and they know you from the tech channel. So don't overthink it, and just make something that people want to watch, and don't overcomplicate things with hyping it up or marketing it or how you tweet it or how you do trailers about it and stuff. Just make it. Stop thinking. Just do. Just stop talking about what you're going to do and just start doing it. So Louise and I were writing out these scripts or writing out how we wanted the show to go. And she was like, let's get the first episode up by this Saturday. And I was kind of like, whoa, Saturday. It's like, it was like Monday or Tuesday at the time. It was like not even a week to go. And she was like, we didn't even have a script ready. We were just kind of planning out how some of the episodes were go. She's like, let's get one up by Saturday. And I was like, well, shouldn't we just save this to be like a 2021 project? And then we can kind of say, to start out the new year, here's the new show. And she was like, no, let's just get it out. And we got the siren. Static fire soon. T-minus 10 minutes. Should I put this up here? Can I hold it like this? I don't want to get copyright claim, but yeah, she was just like, let's do it. So at first I was thinking I can hype it up, or I can do more trailers, or, I can do something more special for the start of 2021. Here's a new show. And she was like, no, let's just start making it. So we filmed it, we edited it, and basically right as soon as we were done editing, we were able to post it on Saturday, last minute, pretty late in the evening. And I was like, I'm not going to hype it up. I'm not going to say here's a new show. And, I'm just going to just post it and be like, there, we're out. And we're just going to start posting every week, every Saturday. We're going to have a new script, a new episode. And we're not going to focus on marketing it. And I'm not going to focus on telling people, in 3 weeks or next month or in the next few days, we are going to have, we're going to have a new show on Telosev TV. It's just post it. Stop talking. Just do it. So that's the business model I guess I'm moving forward with, knowing that the channel doesn't make very much money, but either way. Anyway, this might be a great way to end the stream, is this static fire. I'm trying to think of a good way to hold it up. I guess I can look at it on the OBS here. It's probably not super in focus, huh? Let's see. SN9 Tri-Vent. Yeah, it should light up any second here. Hopefully it doesn't explode. Success equals luck times hard work. Some successful people have gotten very lucky. They won't remain successful. Some people have worked very hard. They'll probably remain successful. Good way of saying it. Good way of putting it. From Peter. If you were to buy a new car, would you buy the new Mach E if your only other options were gas cars? So, yeah, I would buy a Mach E if I had to buy a new car and I couldn't buy any other electric car. If every other option was a gas car, then sure, I would buy the Mach E. But that's a very boxed in, narrow. As someone who's just a fan of EVs in general, that's a very narrow viewpoint. I would still take a Tesla over a Mach-E any day, for the record, but the Mach-E seems pretty cool. Drew is genius for doing separate channels in a network, so each topic is separate. That helped you as much as luck. Surely everybody knew what they subscribed for and came back for. Other channels existed. Yeah, that's true. I wish more people could, diversify a bit more like that. Can I write you guys an episode of I Love Louise? Yeah, you can. I mean, I can't guarantee that we'll make it, but yeah, I'm open to suggestions or whatever. People are saying go to NerdleCam. Okay, I'm tempted here. Oh yeah, that's going to be a bit better angle, isn't it? We can see it happen here. This is the closest you guys are getting to Drew reacting to a... I'm even wearing my SpaceX hoodie today. Check it out. What did you actually get her for Christmas? So I got Louise exactly what she wanted, which was gummy bears. And that's all she really wanted. But I also got her a new plant because she likes plants. But yeah. So we didn't really work that into the script. Yes, the I Love Louise skits are not 100% accurate. We tinker them and adjust them. No, I don't want to react to the craziness at DC. That'll always be there. This won't, though. That thing could be gone in a few weeks. This is good news. I want to focus on interesting stuff. Uplifting stuff. Starship's about putting people on different planets. That's exciting to me. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Rocco. Appreciate it. Man, look at all this fuel dumping out there. So much venting. Should be soon. Should be within the next 10 minutes. Are people trying to count down? Are they talking right now? I've kept this muted. I don't look at anything. I still want to see it, though. Maybe we'll hear something. There's a little bit of white noise in the background. And to answer your other questions, guys, the country is not burning down. There are bad things happening in a few places, but that's the case in any country. I'd say most of the country is probably fine. The news isn't going to point the camera at the peaceful places. Just keep that in mind. My day's going pretty good. Thank you, Drakers. Hopefully don't get scrubbed. For those who don't know what we're looking at, this is SpaceX's prototype SN9. So it's the 9th prototype of Starship they've developed. SN8 did not stick the landing. But this one's not taking off. It's just going to perform a static fire, which means the 3 Raptor engines at the bottom are going to light up for a second, which may not sound like the most exciting thing in the world. But if you're following SpaceX and you're following Starship updates, this is kind of a pivotal moment. And if this goes well, then we will most likely see SN9 take flight somewhere between the 8th and the 10th. So if only I had more time for Telosev Space, I could make videos about this, but I don't at the moment. There is actually a space video I have on my list of things to do, though. No audio on main cam. Need sound. How much time has it been? When did we get the siren? Siren's usually like 10 minutes. I'm going to make a Drew and Louise Be Like YouTube video for fun, and you'll see it next month. Okay. Tag me on Twitter. I want to see it. After this, we'll probably end the stream. Where's Tim Dodd? People are saying abort. No. This is the other reason. There were some people on the talk stream before saying, like, Drew, you should do reaction to SpaceX launches and stuff. One thing I don't envy about all those space channels is how many times stuff gets scrubbed or aborted. They will just, like, cancel a bunch of launches because of bad weather or malfunctioning equipment and that kind of thing. And when that happens, I would have to start the stream, end the stream, start it again, end the stream, start it again. You know, it's like, it's so frustrating when that kind of stuff is going on all the time. And I don't have that type of flexibility in my schedule. I have to be kind of strict and on the money, on the mark with how long it takes to edit videos and post them and do live streams and stuff. So I'm already pushing my schedule right now. Did it get aborted? You got the big venting up here, too. Plus, I don't know what I'm talking about. I am not wearing a mask because I'm inside. If I went outside, I'd be wearing one, though. Thank you for the link to apple.com, but I know what's there. Thank you. If you don't want to watch the static fire, feel free to tune out because that's pretty much what we're going to be doing for the rest of the stream. People are saying big vent. Drone. That crane is pretty close. It might be further away than it looks in this angle. People are saying no detank. Oh, great. Now the stream's all laggy. Rough Rider says no abort. It's still on. Okay, fair enough. They're not deboarding. SpaceX isn't actually live streaming this. It's from a channel called Lab Padre. So LABPADRE, I think. But yeah, he basically has like several 24-hour. Oh, you're watching NASA Space Flight. Yeah, they might have a good angle too. Sentinel, static fire. Just don't explode. I'm okay with a scrub. I'm okay with an abort. I just don't want it to explode on the launch pad because that means we got to start this process all over again. People are saying abort. No. Don't abort. Any second now. Now I'm hearing people in the chat say detank. Can you greet Aaron for me? Hello. Greet. Since the mod put me in timeout for an honest message, I'm leaving. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Some people saying it's not scrubbed. It's amazing to me how many people in the chat every time are just like so quick to be like, oh, it's canceled. And oftentimes it isn't. It's just delayed. How much time is left? And it costs millions for every abort? Does it? I don't know about millions. Not for these. Prototypes? Do they cost millions? Welcome, Jonathan Martin. You have tuned in just in time for disappointment. People are saying Nerdle is quiet. Here we go. People are saying, yes, it's over. It's not detank. Whoa! There it goes. Okay, it lit up. Oh, I heard it too. Little background. All right. I think everything's okay. Didn't explode. It happened. Cancel culture, but with rockets. Okay, we got it, finally. So many people were saying scrub. It lit up. Everything looks okay. Nothing looks to be on fire, which is good. Sweet. And that means they more than likely, unless I'm missing something, more than likely will be able to take flight in the next few days. So stay tuned for that, guys. That's exciting stuff. Was that nominal? I think it was. I think so. It's short, but there you have it. Static fire is basically how they make sure all the engines are still working. And they basically do this right before they take flight. So, yay. They got it. No RUD. No rapid unscheduled disassembly. Let's see. Apple View sent tons of money. I don't know. I don't do all the moderating, but are you liking the Apple Watch Series 6? Yeah, it's fine. Don't buy it though. Get the SE. Get the SE. The SE is better. If you have a Series 4 or newer, don't upgrade. I wouldn't tell anyone to get the Series 6, really. I just sold my old watch for equivalent pricing. But anyway, I guess I came at the right time after all. Sorry. I'm going to sign off here, guys, but I appreciate the views. Stay tuned for more videos, and I will see you all in the next one. All.